If you expect fear to be eliminated or gone before you start something, you're already out of the race from the start because your expectations of the order in which things happen are already backwards. Like the fear is going to go away over time.
Welcome to the Grant Wise Show. This podcast helps ordinary real estate agents build extraordinary companies. Let's grow in 3, 2. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Grant Wise Show. Excited for my guest. I've been recently introduced to Mr. Will Grimes with Mile High Property Brothers in Denver. And Will has a team that does over $200 million annually in volume. And what I think is really impressive is he's got a YouTube channel that generates 7 figures a year in revenue. And a couple other really cool things. He's a Medal of Honor recipient as a cop in Denver, and he's a proud Marine. And I'm proud that I get a few minutes to talk to him. So Will, thanks so much for stopping by the show, dude.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It's a great intro. It's like, we're done. That's it. There you go.
Yeah. Mic drop. It's over. Yeah.
There we go. That's it, man. All good.
You're welcome. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So, dude, give us the backstory. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows. How do you go from $0 to $200 million annually?
Yeah, man. So the cliff notes on that is, I come from, the Marine Corps, government work. I venture into police work when I come back to Colorado. I do that for about 5 years. That Medal of Honor came from our fire department. It's called the Guardian Angel Award, which is their highest honor. They call it Guardian Angel Award for non-firefighters. It's your Medal of Honor. Did that for about 5 years. And then, man, I had a buddy had started a fitness company, like a brick and mortar GNCs, but they did food prep and some other cool stuff. It was called Fit Republic. And I would buy my supplements from him and go to the gym. And we kind of built a friendship over a couple years. And I would talk about fitness from a mental place of just what fitness did for me in the military and just the benefit and why I work out. And I was like the only guy he knew back then that wasn't talking about abs. I didn't have any, so I'm not going to talk about it because I didn't have any, first of all. But secondly, there was just so many more benefits to it outside of, doing a bodybuilding show. In Denver, that was just a popular thing. We're talking, man, probably 2015-ish. But long story short, man, I ended up leaving the police world. I think I just been done running and gunning and had a great time with it, but I was just super excited to do more. And he gave me an opportunity to be number 2 in his company and come in and really headway through leadership and relationships and building brand. And man, we went from 2 to 14 stores in 2 years. Yeah, just over 2 years, and we're crushing, and people were buying their franchises. He got it licensed. I was helping on just getting people wanting a franchise. And we accomplished a lot of this, man, through throwing events and video. It's kind of funny, so forgive me, but you've got 2 different types of video or photo, just content in general. You could put a shaker bottle next to a pretty girl and get 10,000 likes and not sell 1 shaker bottle. No conversion. And this is where realtors miss, right? Because it's creating content is one thing. Creating content that converts is another, right? So something that we got great at was every week, man, we were picking a topic of discussion of, we were talking about blended proteins. We were talking about protein isolates. We were talking about creatine. We were talking about different types of fish oils and what was good for you based off of your goals. And dude, our stores started to increase 30% month after month in sales by doing educational videos and just giving people the value out of here's what to use and here's why to use it if this is what you're looking for, versus yeah, man, pretty girls, pretty guys, really nice photos are really cool. And you're going to get a lot of likes because everyone likes the photo. That doesn't mean they're going to come in and shop. That doesn't mean they're going to come in and trust you. So we really built a good brand out of creating a culture that was educational based. It was consumer based. It wasn't about us and what we looked like. It was, hey, look good because you're in the fitness world, but it was more so being focused on what consumers needed from us. And man, it crushed. After a couple of years, I started to figure out, and by I mean my significant other, she's like, you ever wonder if you put 16 hours a day into your own thing, what that would be? I was like, yeah. I was like, no, I haven't thought of that. Because, man, I came from, I played 5 minutes of pro baseball, Marine Corps. I was great at going inside of something, inside of an organization, and then absolutely owning my lane and what that was. I never thought that I would create one for my own. Not that I didn't think it was possible for myself. I just had never really thought that way. So long story short, man, you get that, what does Hermosi call it? Uninformed optimism. and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing. And my partner, man, who I was number two for, gave me 10 grand of severance pay and was excited for me. And, right before I was about to leave, he actually kind of gave me permission. And I think I was looking for that because he's like, man, I was like, man, what if I stay? Like, what if this, what if he's like, dude, I think it's just time for you to do your own thing. And it's okay that you're going to do your own thing. And loyalty is important for me. So kind of coming away from that, like I struggled for a minute. Once I heard he felt encouraged and good about it, I felt better about it. But what I learned in about 5 minutes after leaving is I made decent money. I was probably making about 100 grand back then working for him. And when you're in a startup, making that ain't bad. And when you're coming from the police world, 100 grand ain't bad, man. Like you're doing all right. But I wasn't good with money, man. I had 2 cars that I did not need. I was spending my money, and about 5 minutes after leaving, I had 2 car payments. I had my apartment to pay for. My girlfriend, we just had to go to this wedding for her family in San Diego. Dude, I was down to about $100, like that. I mean, quick. But something that I wasn't new to, man, was sacrifice and putting myself under pressure and eliminating distraction and eliminating anything necessary in order to succeed. Titles were not important to me. Status was not important to me. Environment was important to me. So, man, ironically, my apartment was a month out from being up on its lease. So I didn't renew. I sold my cars off and I slept in my buddy's mom's pantry. Grant, you're old enough to remember Y2K, the original pandemic, buddy, the original buy all the toilet paper, buy all the canned food. So I'm sleeping in this pantry in her basement next to Fig Newtons and distilled water and canned goods. It's probably the Y2K pantry now, man. And so I eliminated bills. I knew I had to start over. I knew it was going to take something, and I didn't want to sell desperate. I didn't want to put myself under unnecessary stress by trying to keep up with the status or a certain lifestyle that I had. I gave it all up. I slept in a pantry, and I started to just really identify with just my skill sets and where I came from and how that was applicable to real estate with managing client emotions and thinking 10 steps ahead and predicting, and just managing the whole experience for clients, and also understanding how to build culture and how to build value. And I was new to real estate, but I was not new to people, and I was not new to video and events and culture. And long story short, man, that first year I went in, and I've only been in this game, man, for 6 years. So that first year I went against the grain from what a lot of people were saying and doing. And I was one of the first guys that really did video. But the video I was doing, just to give some cliff notes, Grant, let's walk through my buyer presentation covers what? When I talk to a buyer, probably similar to yours, every phase a buyer goes through. So what do they go through? They go through contacting a realtor and what that looks like. They go through looking at homes, like they go through their wants and their needs. They go through their deal breakers. Then we go through looking at homes online. Then we go through looking at homes in person. Prior to that, we're talking about getting pre-approved. Then we're looking at homes in person. What is important for clients to know when they're looking at homes in person? There's a ton. We'll just save it at a bullet point. Then we talk about submitting an offer. We talk about the tools and everything required, and depending on the market and competition, what's good to use, what's not good to use to be competitive when submitting an offer. Then we talk about going under contract. Then we talk about inspections. Then we talk about appraisals, post-occupancies, and closing. Correct? For the sake of time here, I'm going to assume everybody knows the details in every one of those phases, correct? And I'm also going to assume everybody does a great job informing, like during their buyer presentation, going through all of these phases with their client, not just tactically, but emotionally what they're going to feel going through this and what to expect. Here's what I started doing out of the gate, Grant. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 14 bullet points that we can all agree that we go through for clients. This is 14 separate videos for social media, brother. So I started doing content that was valuable for a consumer. So whether they or that someone they knew was looking to buy or sell real estate, I always had a call to action on my videos. Hey, whether you're working with me or with someone else, make sure when it comes to your pre-approval, we're looking at considering these things. And then I would just talk to them about their pre-approval. When we talked about earnest money, yes, they actually deposit it. It's not just a check. It's going to get deposited. Hey, here in the state of Colorado, here's how title manages this money. Here's what title is. Here's how they serve. Here's what their roles and responsibilities are. All of these things that I'm saying, I'm sure everyone's bored. And they're like, dude, this is basic. It's like, yeah, to us, we do it every day. Right? Like, imagine if you and I went skydiving, Grant. Hopefully, they give us a presentation prior to. They walk us through probably the most basic stuff to them as skydivers ever. But to us, brother, like, it's important, man. So what I started realizing early on was I'm not going to just show here's my open house, come see me, or here's my closing photo. And I write, oh, I just want to give a shout out to the most amazing clients and amazing humans in the world. Like, first of all, you're full of shit. They were probably a pain in the ass and they're not the most amazing humans you've ever met. But we're going to say that about everybody. But the bottom line is your closing photo, your open house video where you're walking through like Minecraft, it does show you're busy per se, but there's no substance, there's no value to a consumer. But when you start giving educational videos and you start either creating, so a lot of folks are good at creating now. They'll sit at their desk or in a room, they'll turn the light on, and then they'll give a video, correct? Everyone needs to get better at capturing. So if I'm out at an inspection with my clients, okay, and they come the last 30 minutes to get the review and just get the overview of how things went great, as soon as they leave, could I make a video? Hey guys, what's up? Happy Wednesday. Just got done with an inspection with my clients over here in Southeast Aurora. So I'm checking the box. Hey, I'm out here. I'm busy. And hey, while we were here were the top 2 things that popped up that seemed like a concern, but when we actually got into it, weren't a concern and can be mitigated completely with just a little bit of work. And you walk through them. You talk about having a licensed inspector, why that's important. You talk about why it's important for the client to show up. And hey, listen, whether you're working with me or with someone else, make sure these topics of discussion get discussed during your phase of being under contract on a home. Brother, it was all of this educational, everything we do every day, instead of just showing it to the person we're talking to that's our specific client. I was creating educational content out of it. Yeah. So long story short, that led to 34 deals my first year. About 3 months in, I started helping a buddy run a team, and we hit top 1% in the world for Berkshire Hathaway, utilizing events and social media, and then just teaching agents how to do the same thing. So when we hit top 1%, nothing against Zillow or anything like that, but we hit it naturally aspirated. There were no leads on our team. There was no lead chasing. It was all being that celebrity in your community, being a professional, educational based, and it got our team of 12 into the top 1% worldwide for Berkshire with just 12 agents.
That's fantastic. I love that you're mixing in events too, because this is such an underutilized opportunity for people that they just don't take seriously for some reason. Maybe it's because it's like, quote unquote events are a lot of work, whatever. But like, how did the events come into play? Would you just host the same types of like educational events for buyers and sellers?
Both. Yeah, man. So we would do happy hours and just get-togethers and come have some fun, balanced with we were doing home buyer classes. 100%. That led to home buyer webinars. We still have our agents doing home buyer webinars now, and they're still getting buyers from home buyer webinars. And then we started to add our client appreciation events in the mix as we started acquiring more past clients. After more past clients, we started incorporating the client appreciation, which obviously we still do to this day.
I love that you mentioned webinars too, because not everybody does that. I mean, it's so awesome, right? When you just have a buyer that's like, hey, I watched your video. I want you to help me buy a property. When you put out content in the right way and you've built up enough authority in the marketplace where people are like, I just want you to do business. Some real estate agents, and I'm sure you probably run into this, they can't make that. It's like a leap for them because they were taught when they came into the business, pick up this phone and don't quit calling people until you got an appointment this afternoon, and then go on that appointment and you get back in the office, you do the exact same thing. So they're used to busy work. Like they're so used to busy work, but your strategy is not busy work. I mean, you are busy, but you are absolutely like you're putting out content that is doing all of the selling for you.
Brother, it's attraction based. Like, Grant, you're friendly, you're good looking, you're kind. Look at me. Do I look like the guy that shows up on a blind date Zillow lead fucking showing? Right? I show up and they're like, oh my God, we got tricked. I actually owe the mafia money. And this guy was pretending to be a realtor so he can come kill me at this showing.
You got catfish.
That's what I look like. But dude, when you do video It's the second best, maybe even better than in person, because people can binge watch your content. So you're not limited to restricting your time. They get to know, like, and trust you, right? So for example, we can dive into like YouTube, for example. We graduated from social media into YouTube, and we started creating content for people that were behavioral based into living in or moving to the Denver area. And in those videos, we have call to actions, right? I say things like, hey guys, and just a reminder, we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado. And just as much as we love making these videos, we would love more to help you with your real estate needs. So that number that's popping up below, we are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if you have any questions, or if you would like for us to help you, we would love to. But with that being said, let's dive into the top 5 neighborhoods you must know when it comes to living in Denver, and you don't even know they exist. Boom. And then we start the content. Well, brother, you get to hear me. You get to see me. You get to see my quality video, quality audio, consistent video every single week, same days, same times. You get to hear me articulate. You get to hear my background and where I come from and why certain things are important to me and why certain things aren't too important to me. And you're also making the decision to call me. Last year alone, we had 140 transactions just from YouTube. And dude, when they meet you and I walk up and I'm like, hey, Grant, you don't go, oh shit. Like, no, because you've been watching my videos, right? So, and I'm being funny. If you got tattoos, great. If you don't, great. But the point is, if someone from my background can be myself and I can make real estate fit me, not me fit real estate. If I can find a way to make real estate fit me, well, the number one tool in making something fit you is you got to be you. Well, how can you be you? Video.
Let's coach people up here for just a minute, because you said if I can make real estate fit me, this is like the number one thing most afraid to do. So, Will, I'm listening and I like what you're saying, man, but I don't know. I'm afraid to be myself. I'm afraid. I just want to help everybody. Tell me why I can't do that. What do I got to do here?
So first thing, right, is if look, if you can't get over the fear, just do it scared, right? Because you're going to have a certain level of fear that's going to be around until you do something long enough before you're conditioned to it, right? So as much as I've jumped out of helicopters and done cool, tough guy stuff, dude, I didn't know how to swim until boot camp. I never shot a rifle until boot camp. My mom was a hippie, dude. My mom walked into 5th grade. It was indoor recess, right? We watched The Lion King because it was indoor recess. My mom comes into the class the next day. This is right when girls are starting to like you, Grant. This is like the one time I was cute was 5th grade. It's gone. She walks into class and she lectures my teacher because he let us watch a movie that had premeditated murder in it because the uncle planned the murder of Simba's father or whatever, right? Like, she's got a point, but boy, was that embarrassing. But dude, I never shot a rifle till boot camp, right? And one of my drill instructors, Drill Instructor Sergeant Graham, love this dude. I'm on the rifle range. We've been practicing our positions and dry firing for a week. We finally get to shooting and it's my turn. I'm sitting on this ammo can. I'm scared. And he kneels down to talk to me and he's like, what's up? I'm just like, and this is the one time they're kind of nice to you in boot camp, brother, because you got a loaded gun and they don't want you shooting anybody. So they're kind of nice to you. And he's like, what's the problem? I go, I've never shot like a real bullet before. And he's like, well, what's the problem? I was like, well, my grandpa, Silver Stars, Bronze Stars from World War II, my father, distinguished shooter. Like, I'm just nervous. He's like, I'm like, these other guys, like, they've shot growing up hunting with their father, et cetera, et cetera. My drill instructor kneels down and he goes, Grimes, you got no bad habits. Do what I say, when I say, how I say, to the best of your ability. You're going to crush. I fucking love guys like you. And he just walks off, dude. And like, the paradigm shift that I now had an advantage over every dude. And then I saw it. They had to unlearn Kentucky windage. They had to unlearn bad things that they were doing growing up. I didn't even know how to be bad, Grant, because I was around the right people. So if you're new to real estate, if you're new to video, if you're new to certain things, like if you've been in real estate for a long time, but you're new to social media or YouTube or video, or if you're new to real estate and new to all these things, cool. Your circle. Who's going to teach you? Because you've got no bad habits right now. You might be scared. It's on you to handle your fear. But if you can be around the right people that build it the right way, that can lead you the right way to at least eliminate any bad habits, you're setting yourself up for success to get optimal results. And then through taking action, you're going to start eliminating some of that fear over time. But the expectation that that scared is going to go away before you execute. So a lot of this also, in addition to everything I've just coached on, setting expectations. If you expect fear to be eliminated or gone before you start something, you're already out of the race from the start because your expectations of the order in which things happen are already backwards. Like the fear is going to go away over time.
Yeah.
Right. Like Grant, you could probably speak to this. You almost kind of want some of the fear to stick around a little bit because it keeps you sharp. It keeps you focused, man. Like you're paying attention to it.
You care. That's what my coach tells me. He's like, you care. Are you nervous? Good. At least you know that you still care. If you're not nervous when you go walk out on that stage, you probably shouldn't be walking out on that stage because you want to make sure that you're showing up. I love what you're talking about. And somebody says to me all the time, like, we don't feel our way into acting. We act our way into feeling, which is right in line with what you're saying. Do it scared because you're going to be that way. I remember when I walked out on stage for the very first time 8 or 9 years ago and how I felt. And I remember how I walked out on stage within the last couple of months. The feelings are exactly the same. It's just I learned to get through them. One of my favorite quotes is, "You're not hurt by what you experience. You're hurt by what you expected to experience."
Probably both. Sometimes I've experienced some shit and it hurt, Grant. Sometimes it's like what I was hurt by what I expected. But then sometimes, no, just what I experienced, it freaking hurt, bro. It freaking hurt. And like maybe I should have expected more. I don't know. But one thing that's true with both of them is that action's being taken, right? And that we're navigating that. Something that, I see a lot within real estate is agents and or people don't change until it's too painful not to, right? So whatever your threshold for pain and discomfort is, I might have been going 6 months ago, but you're still okay with where you're at. You're still comfortable. You have a spouse that provides. You have a retirement you lean on. I don't know, but for some reason, somehow, some way, something is keeping you within a comfort zone. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's not uncomfortable enough for you to start taking action. That's also why that pantry and eliminating cars and everything was important, man, because I was literally self-inducing pain, self-inducing no plan B. I got rid of everything, man. And I'm in a pantry. Like, I'm not going to live in a pantry for the rest of my life. I use that as like a launching pad to restart. But look, man, if I just were to if I stay in environments that are comfortable, I don't know how hungry I'm going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard to be hungry when you're always being fed.
Well, and if you have a spouse that provides, or like I say, your retirement, or you're doing just enough deals.
And I love what you said, and I think you should dig in a little bit deeper here. It's like you said, the reason you did it is because you didn't want to sell from a place of scarcity. And that's why 99% of the industry doesn't convert well, because they're all selling from a place of scarcity.
You don't ever want to sell desperate. If a house isn't the right fit for someone, I want to be able to say that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to give proper advice and represent people with the best of intention. And if I know I got a car payment coming up, or I got a mortgage to come up, or my rent on my apartment coming up, how am I advising a client? I don't know. Like, I'd like to say I'd have the most integrity possible, but there's this thing called the mind's mind, right? Your subconscious. Like, what is your subconscious triggering in you that you don't even know you're doing? There might be things you're advising on someone, steering them toward a home that's not, because you're too busy hearing the things they liked about it versus the 1 or 2 deal breakers they didn't. And you're just feeding the narrative of that home because you're counting the rent or the car payment you got to make, versus when you're living in a pantry, buddy, like I don't have many payments. You could really just advise appropriate and then just build from there.
It's great perspective. I mean, it is. I think the industry sells from their pocketbook a lot of ways. And like, I've been asking this question a lot lately about the industry because it's going through some stuff, right? You've got disruption, you have legal issues and litigation that's coming up. And I keep asking this question is, what's going to happen to the buyer's agent in the next 1 to 3 years or 3 to 5 years? And I don't think anybody's really got the answer to that question right now. But what I find particularly interesting is that people are ignoring the question. Why are you asking this question, Grant? Why are you giving people permission to talk badly about our industry, Grant? Why? It's like, wait a second.
Oh, like they need your permission to talk bad about commission industries. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you are going to have to face the reality that if you do not have an ability to communicate your value, you're going to suffer in this industry. That's true now, though. You don't need a lawsuit to make that a reality. And I guess where I'm going with this is like, we've got to get away from this, I think, scarce place of trying to sell based on need, at least our need, and take care of the consumer if we want to make sure that we maintain good perception in the industry so that this industry does continue to thrive the way that it has.
And I think you'll always have buyer agents because no matter how convenient you can streamline real estate, People need to be represented, and they're going to want to be represented. And they don't necessarily want the listing agent who's friends with the sellers, navigating a contract for both sides. Like, our new bill is going to get a little bit different and eliminate some things potentially, but people want to be represented. And even with builders, man, we've had issues with builders to where people appreciated the fact that they have a realtor. It comes down to the education and the representation value that you bring as an agent. So if you're doing the right things the right way for the right reasons, you'll navigate the storm as it comes. It's not necessarily anything we have to answer today, but I like that you bring it up, because if you and I, Grant, we're going to sail across the ocean and it takes 3 months, maybe 2.5 months in, we're going to hit a storm. But if I'm mad for you trying to forecast that while we're prepping our shit before we leave, like, bro, why are you being so negative? Like, it's like, no, dude, like, I know it's not here yet, and maybe it doesn't come, but it wouldn't be bad to just fortify a couple things while we have it. So just in case it does happen, we can navigate appropriately. And it just comes down to, how well are you putting yourself out there as a realtor, right? How well are you known in your area, and what are you known for? What does your word of mouth look like? What do referrals look like? And how are you creating action within your past clients to create follow-up scenarios and referral scenarios?
Man, this has been a great conversation. I want to respect your time, and I know we're running out. One of the things that I took a note on when we started this podcast, as you started talking, is you said you went from 2 gyms to 14 in less than 2 years. And you talked about your growth trajectory in the real estate space. And you just can't do that without hustle. But what I like about everything that you're talking about is, like, you were hustling strategically. And I think that if somebody's listening to this, it's such a great lesson, because everybody tries to go out there and do everything or be all things to all people. But if you can take a page out of your book and hustle strategically on one thing, one plan, it's amazing what it does for your growth.
Well, and that's your backbone. Out of everybody that I coach, man, especially like the teams that are around that are in the top 1% for the world or for the nation, regardless of brokerage, they're just not 1% for their town or their office. We're talking real dudes that are 200 million plus, 300 million plus. You don't see less than 3 lanes of incoming business for them. You just don't. So whether it's YouTube, Zillow, farming, repeat business, refer, whatever it is, they have become professional level agents at 3, but they weren't doing all 3 at the same time. So like for us, like with YouTube, that was a huge project, huge backbone. That makes us over 7 figures every year, right? And that's over 100 transactions, well over 100 every year. And that needed time, attention, and we had to build it. Once it's built, we keep it perfected. We continue to add to it where value is needed, but then you start going, okay, what's our database look like, and what does our repeat and referral business look like? Because all these buyers from YouTube turn into sellers. Unless you don't want to cater or keep in touch with them, then they're going to find somebody else like any other buyer. So then we had to create that pillar of success when it comes to repeat and referral business, right? But then we've got our farming and some different things. So if you're out there, man, get really good at that one thing that's great for you. But then as you establish that, you can't be reliant upon. You've got to start that second and third pillar of incoming business for yourself. And you've just got to really look at what the greats do fundamentally and then figure out where you fit into that equation and what 3 work for you.
Yeah. It's such good advice. You can travel around real estate conferences all over the country and all over the world, and you'll hear people speaking on stages, but most of those people, they're talking about the one thing they did that got them to the place. And then maybe they expanded on it like you're talking about. And as you should, every deal you do is worth at least 2 more. Dial in your plans, because you can build a monstrous company, and it doesn't take as long as it used to.
No.
Doesn't mean it happens overnight, but it doesn't take as long as it used to with all the tools and technology and resources and social and all that stuff we've got today. So, dude, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. This show is about helping ordinary people understand how to build extraordinary companies. And so if somebody's listening to this and they're like, all right, well, I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now. Like, direct me. What's one thing I could do to go start, building this extraordinary business?
You can DM Will at Will_Grimes. I answer my own Instagram. I respond to everybody. And you can just give me a quick synopsis on like where you're at and what your scenario is. So, because like the one thing, it's a little blanket statement, right? I would say if there is one thing, it's video. But being a little bit more specific to where people are at or what their situation is and trying to give a little bit more specific advice for them, I dare them. I dare you to DM me. I dare you to throw me a message, because same day I'm getting back to you. And I'm going to try to give you some contextual advice based off of your scenario versus just on the podcast. But if it is here, if you're not building your brand and your business, through reaching through video and through content, I don't know how you're going to survive.
The barrier to entry in business has become that of building a media company. So if you're not out there getting attention, especially with video, you are absolutely being left behind. 2024.
What are you for your clients first? Like if you're going to sell a home, am I a realtor? Not in the beginning. I'm a marketer. I got to market that home. Paid social media campaigns. Like we have some listings, man, that are over 3 million. You think you just put that on the MLS and call it a day? And you think that sellers are going to be okay with that? No, man. Paid social media ads. We're using our YouTube analytics to figure out where people are moving from. We're throwing paid campaigns into those states. Broker opens, open houses, MLS, all those things. But dude, I'm marketing that home. Once someone decides to come see it and submit an offer, well, now I'm going to be a realtor, huh? Cool. But until then, I'm a marketer, right? So if you can't get great at doing it for yourself, how the heck are you going to get great doing it for everybody else?
It's great advice. And I'm going to end it right there, guys. You've heard it from Will. Give him a follow, shoot him a message. I dare you like he did. I'll make sure that I link up the ways that you can connect with him in the show notes. Will, I appreciate you, man. Thanks again for spending the time with us. And everybody out there that's listening to this, I appreciate you for listening to another very impactful episode of The Grant Wise Show. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Grant Wise Show. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, leave us a review, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.